The movie begins with Andy, who seems to be searching for something. Just then, a boy standing behind him starts cutting fruit in a strange way with a knife, and then shockingly begins eating the knife along with the fruit. This causes his mouth to get badly injured. Seeing this, Andy panics heavily, and as the boy struggles to swallow the knife, Andy tries to rush him to the hospital. But the boy refuses to step outside. Somehow, dragging and forcing him out, Andy manages to pull him towards the exit. However, just outside the house, there's a white circle drawn on the ground, which the boy cannot cross. The moment he tries, his condition starts to worsen drastically. His body begins to twitch unnaturally, as if something else is inside him. Witnessing all this, Andy is utterly terrified. The scene then cuts to 1 week earlier, where Andy's dad mysteriously dies while taking a shower, in a strange and unexplained way. This event leaves Andy extremely stressed and disturbed. Andy and his sister, who has very poor eyesight, are both adopted by a woman named Laura, who is already taking care of a mute boy, the same boy we've already seen earlier. Laura also had a blind daughter, who had tragically died by accidentally drowning in the swimming pool. Hearing this made Andy feel sad, but Laura's behavior seemed increasingly odd to him. Things took an even creepier turn when Laura introduced them to her dead dog, whose body she had preserved. While exploring the house, they go to the backyard, where in the empty swimming pool, they see a boy wearing just pants, violently gripping a cat, so tight that the cat begins to scream in pain. Hearing the cat's cries, Laura rushes in, takes the cat away from the boy, and scolds him. The boy then slowly turns toward Andy and gives him such a serious, intense stare that it leaves Andy shaken. Later, when Piper asks Laura about Holly, the daughter, Laura lies to her. There's also a cute little boy with curly hair, though the truth is far darker than it seems. Then, Laura starts measuring everyone's height, which Andy finds very strange as well. Eventually, Piper is given Holly's old room, and while Andy is talking to his friends, he gets a feeling that Laura is secretly listening to his conversations. At one point, when Andy ignores Laura and picks up something without asking her, Laura suddenly grabs his phone and starts reading through his messages. This infuriates Andy, and he firmly tells her, "From now on, don't touch my things without asking." In response, Laura quietly walks away, taking Oliver with her. Downstairs, she plays an old videotape that shows some sort of ancient ritual, and she begins showing it to Oliver. The next day, something similar happens again. Laura takes Oliver toward the storeroom outside, and seeing this, Andy feels increasingly uneasy. Later, after waking up from a nap, Andy notices his bed is wet, which shocks him, because he's never had a habit like that. When he goes to shower, the sound of the water reminds him of his father's death, which had occurred in the bathroom, and this triggers his panic again. A few days later, a funeral ceremony is held for Andy and Piper's father. But neither of them seem sad, because their dad used to physically abuse them a lot. In fact, now that he's gone, they both feel strangely relieved. At the funeral, Laura tries to force Andy to give his dad one last goodbye by kissing him on the forehead, but Andy refuses. After everyone leaves, Laura secretly cuts off a lock of his dead father's hair. While returning home, Laura notices Andy and Piper are looking particularly down. So she suggests, "Let's go home and have a party." She tells them, "After someone leaves your life, it's important to celebrate your peace. Otherwise, grief takes over." Accepting her idea, they all have a party that night, they drink a lot, dance, and enjoy themselves. Everyone ends up pretty drunk, and eventually they all fall asleep. That night, Laura and Andy open up to each other. Laura tells Andy how her mental health deteriorated after the death of her daughter, Mary, and now she just craves to hear someone call her mom, even if it's fake. Andy, in return, shares his own pain, that his father had tortured him since childhood, and that's why he felt no sadness when he died. In fact, he feels relieved, like a huge burden has been lifted. After pouring their hearts out, Andy finally falls asleep. At this point, Laura does something extremely strange. She collects her urine in a container and pours it over Andy's bike. The next morning, when Andy wakes up again, he finds his bed wet once more, and he becomes deeply disturbed. He wonders, "Why is this happening to me every single day now?" Trying to take care of it, he gathers his clothes and goes downstairs to do the laundry. But when Laura sees his wet clothes, she pretends like she knows nothing, and instead, she and Piper laugh at him, making Andy feel even more ashamed. He wants to clean up and go take a bath in the washroom, but every time he steps in there, he gets a horrific flashback of his dead father, so instead of bathing inside, he goes out to the garden, where he washes himself using a water tub. While doing this, he happens to glance across the garden and notices Oliver watching him from the window. Suddenly, a fly buzzes near Andy, and Oliver appears, smacks the fly with his hand, and eats it. Seeing this deeply disturbs Andy, and now he's completely sure, something is definitely wrong with Oliver. Thinking Oliver might be hungry, Andy takes him to the kitchen and starts cutting some fruits for him. But the way Oliver grabs the knife is unsettling, he clutches the blade so tightly, his hand starts bleeding. Andy doesn't notice at first, as he's busy looking through the cabinets for more food. But then suddenly, Oliver begins to eat the knife along with the fruit, just like before, causing his mouth to get badly injured. This is the exact same scene we saw at the beginning of the movie. Andy quickly pulls the knife out of Oliver's mouth and, in a panic, starts dragging him toward the hospital. But when they reach the outside, Oliver can't cross the white circle drawn at the threshold. The moment he tries, his condition worsens rapidly, his body starts to twitch violently. Just then, Laura arrives, and furiously scolds Andy, shouting. Taking him outside was a huge mistake. She pulls Oliver back and takes him to a room in the basement. There, she plays another ritual video, and begins to perform the ritual on Oliver. Meanwhile, Andy sees the knife soaked in blood, and his anxiety escalates even more. Wanting to check on Oliver's condition, he walks toward his room, but Laura comes out of nowhere and blocks him. She says in a stern voice. Don't you dare. You have no right, no permission to enter his room or take him anywhere. I'm the one who takes care of him. And Andy wonders to himself. Is this what taking care looks like? We see Laura drawing circular symbols on Oliver's head while chanting some strange mantras, clearly performing some kind of ritual on him. It becomes obvious that Laura is practicing black magic on Oliver. That night, she does something even more disturbing. She places the cut hair of Andy's dead father, the same hair she had secretly taken at the funeral, into Oliver's mouth. Meanwhile, Andy is still struggling with his trauma and fear. He forces himself to go into the washroom, wanting to take a shower and get a grip. But the moment the sound of the shower hits his ears, his mind is flooded with terrifying memories of the day his father died. He becomes overwhelmed, stumbles, and eventually collapses on the floor. When he regains consciousness, he finds himself in a hospital. He's completely panicked, and even the doctors can't calm him down. Finally, they have to sedate him with an injection to control his condition. When Andy wakes up again, Laura is there, acting as if nothing is wrong. She brings him a bottle of perfume, telling him, "Spray this. It'll make you feel fresh." While all this is happening, Andy turns to Laura and asks her for a promise. "Promise me you'll never let Piper go out in the rain." He's been getting this intense feeling that if his sister ever goes out in the rain, she'll die. But after they return home, Laura deliberately breaks the promise. She takes Piper outside into the rain, laughing and playing with her. In that moment, Laura looks at Piper and sees a reflection of her own dead daughter. She gives Piper her daughter's old clothes, and then gently asks, "Would you like to stay with me forever? Would you like to call me Mom?" She continues. "In 3 months, Andy will turn 18. He'll be able to legally take custody of you. But I want this decision to come from you." Laura was asking with so much affection, she fully expected Piper to say her name. But Piper says Andy's name instead. The moment she hears it, Laura's face stiffens, though she doesn't say anything hurtful to Piper. Instead, she forces a sweet, fake smile and says, "Of course, sweetheart. Whatever you want, that's what we'll do." Shortly after, Laura takes Piper to a strange room, opens a freezer, and tells her to touch what's inside. But inside the freezer, there isn't just anything. It's the preserved corpse of her dead daughter. Yes, Laura had been keeping her daughter's body inside the freezer, completely preserved. A few days later, after recovering, Andy returns home. As soon as he enters, he notices Piper's shoes, and something seems off. Andy notices that Piper's shoes are covered in wet mud, and instantly realizes the truth. Laura didn't keep her promise. She had taken Piper out into the rain. This deepens Andy's suspicion about Laura. That night, we see Laura starting the ritual all over again on Oliver. She draws circular marks on his head with her finger, chanting mantras, and in front of him plays the same ritual video, matching every action. As the ritual progresses, Oliver's eyes turn blood red, as if some demonic presence has entered his body. After completing the spell, Laura goes back to her room and sprays the same perfume she had earlier gifted to Andy. Then, she quietly enters Piper's room and punches her hard in the eye, before slipping away. The next morning, Andy sees Piper's swollen, bruised eye, and horrified, asks her, "Tell me, who did this to you?" Since Piper can't see, she uses her sense of smell to identify people. She sniffs both Laura and Andy, and mistakenly says, "It was Andy. The same smell I sensed last night is coming from him now." Poor Piper had no idea that Laura had planned this all along. She had worn Andy's gifted perfume to frame him. Laura's plan was simple, make Piper doubt Andy, so that instead of choosing her brother, she would choose Laura to stay with. To further manipulate Piper, Laura plays with her emotions, saying, "Andy is becoming just like your father, abusive and cruel. Just like he tortured you, Andy will do the same. Do you really want to live with someone like that?" Then Laura adds, "I don't think you should go with him, even if he turns 18. You belong here with me." While this psychological manipulation is happening upstairs, Andy is outside, and something catches his attention through the window. He sees Oliver bathing, and notices strange marks on his body. Something is seriously wrong. Andy quickly starts recording the entire scene on his phone, hoping to expose Laura's truth and show everyone what's really happening. But before he can do anything, Laura rushes in, attacks him, and snatches his phone away after beating him. Andy, trying to free himself, finally loses control. He turns on Laura and prepares to punch her back, but at the last moment, instead of hitting her, he punches the wall beside her. Because even after everything, he still feels hitting her would make him just like the people he hates. Piper, who could only rely on what she was hearing, assumed that it was Andy who had hurt Laura, that he had injured or attacked her. So, she gets angry at Andy, believing her brother has crossed the line. This leaves Andy heartbroken, and feeling completely misunderstood, he leaves the house immediately. He rushes straight to the council head, the same person who had previously placed Andy and Piper in Laura's care. Andy is determined to reveal the truth about Laura and her dangerous behavior. While he's at the council office, he notices a photo of a missing child on a bulletin board, and the child looks exactly like Oliver. Andy is shocked. He tells the woman at the council. I think Laura kidnapped this child and is keeping him in her house. And she's doing some really disturbing, ritualistic things to him. But the old woman at the office finds it hard to believe. So Andy says. If you don't believe me, come with me. I'll show you everything. Meanwhile, back at Laura's house, things are getting completely out of control. Oliver's stomach has bloated unnaturally, and he's acting like a wild, feral creature, devouring everything in the kitchen, tearing it apart, chewing anything in sight. When Laura comes near him, Oliver grabs her violently and bites her. She manages to escape his grip and locks herself inside a room, while Oliver begins eating even a wooden table outside. In a panic, Laura grabs a bandage, wraps her wound, and looks out the window. There, she sees Oliver standing silently, staring at her through the glass. Laura then starts drawing circular symbols on the window and chanting mantras again. And strangely, this brings Oliver back under her control. Now calm and obedient, Laura leads him into a hidden, secret room. At this point, Andy calls Piper, desperate to warn her and reveal Laura's truth. But the one who answers the phone is Laura herself. She instantly realizes that Andy is on his way with someone else, likely a council official, and that her entire truth is about to be exposed. To prevent any suspicion, she quickly starts cleaning up the house, wiping away all the chaos and mess that Oliver had created. By the time Andy arrives with the council lady, Laura has made the place look perfectly normal, as if nothing ever happened. She even pretends she had just stepped out of the shower, acting casual and composed. While the council woman starts talking to Laura, Andy quietly sneaks downstairs into the storeroom. And what he sees down there shocks him to his core. Seeing that, he was completely shocked, because Oliver was eating a child's corpse raw. Andy screamed so loudly in fear that the council woman quickly rushed downstairs. Laura kept trying to stop her, saying, "Please don't go there, it's just a small accident. I'll take care of it." But her stopping only made the woman even more suspicious, and she went down to see for herself. And when she saw it with her own eyes, she immediately believed everything Andy had told her. She was about to call the police right away, but before she and Andy could get away from the house, Laura suddenly arrived in her car and hit them both hard. The old woman died on the spot. And although Andy survived, he was badly injured. But even then, Laura didn't panic. Instead, she grabbed Andy by the face and shoved it into a puddle of water nearby, trying to drown him, so that he couldn't breathe and would die right there. At this point, Piper had also woken up from her sleep. She started searching the house for her brother Andy. And then Oliver appeared in front of her. She reached out to touch and feel him, trying to figure out if it was Andy. Just then, Laura entered and asked, "What are you doing here?" Piper, angry, didn't give any answer and said, "You lied to me. Oliver isn't a cute, curly-haired little boy. He doesn't even have any hair on his head. And his face feels really strange too. Now tell me, where is my brother Andy?" Laura didn't explain anything. She simply grabbed Piper and started dragging her toward another room. Piper had now begun to feel scared of Laura. So she slipped away cleverly, took her phone, and locked herself in the bathroom. Inside, something brushed against her foot. She crouched down to check, and realized, it was a human body. She reached toward its face. As her hand touched the braces, she recognized it immediately. It was none other than her brother Andy. She now fully understood that Laura was not a good woman. Her intentions were truly dark and horrifying. Though she still didn't understand why Laura was doing all this. Just then, Laura came and broke open the bathroom door. She had realized the kids had discovered everything. So now, she didn't lie anymore. She began to tell the whole story, explaining why she was doing all this. She explains. "I had contacted a demon who promised me that he would give me my daughter back. But for that, he needed an innocent soul. And he found it in the form of Piper. I brought you here only so you could be killed. Once you die, you'll see how my daughter will come back to me." Hearing this, Piper got very scared. She grabbed a glass lying nearby, attacked Dora, and tried to escape from there. Before Piper could run away, she ran into a table, fell down, and lost consciousness. Now Dora came, picked up Piper, and took her to the swimming pool at the back of the house, which had filled with rainwater. She threw Piper into the water and left her to die. As Piper went underwater, she regained consciousness and started struggling desperately to save herself. She begged Laura for her life. But Laura was determined to kill her. Piper said, "Please, Mom, let me go." As soon as Laura heard the word Mom, her heart broke. That was the one word she had been waiting to hear for so many days. Now Laura's motherly love came back. And she let Piper go, pulling her out of the water. She even took off her sweater and wrapped it around Piper, so she wouldn't catch cold. Just as Piper barely escaped one danger, another appeared. Oliver came and caught her. He wanted to eat her raw. But Piper gave it her all to protect herself. She kicked Oliver hard with her feet repeatedly. And he fell far away. His condition started worsening rapidly because of the injuries on his stomach. He began vomiting blood and writhed in pain. In his agony, he crossed the white circle that Laura had drawn in the house. On crossing to the other side of the circle, he became completely normal. Meanwhile, we see Piper trying to run away quickly. In her attempt to escape, she almost gets hit by a car. The man sitting inside the car helps Piper and rescues her. Behind them, we see the police have also arrived and rescue her. In the post-credits scene, we see Laura drowning herself with her daughter inside the swimming pool. She had decided to end her life with her daughter, because she realized she would never be able to bring her dead daughter back to life. And with this, the movie ends.